have a favorable perception. But with all the news that has been available for me, I've always had a very not so favorable conception to GM, because you always find food advertising no GM, no GM, so that means GM is not good. But after coming for this session, it's been clearly explained the need for GM because of the increased pests, increased natural disasters, and the need for us to change the food, not totally making it different or just making it more reliant, resistant to pests and to survive in disasters. So it shows how important GMO is to us and how the technology is also going to help us survive in this changing climate that we live in. As scientists, we should be always asking why. We should be investigating. We shouldn't just listen to the news that comes, because we have been trained to investigate and to verify information. So we should just sit down and read and understand the concepts behind it. And for every particular food, if you're not comfortable, just ask the scientists, because we are all here to share what we know. Because if we are here to share, because we are doing it for the public. So if the public don't understand, we are not doing our jobs well. So ask the scientists and they will get back to you with the information. And I think most of my misconceptions have been clarified at the conference. So I'm really happy. Don't share the negative views, and also make people a bit more calmer about it, because everybody has misconceptions and it will take a while. Because I'm not directly in the field, I may not have all the information, but pointing somebody to the right direction will help change the tide of all the misconceptions that is in the public right now. As somebody who loves science outreach and communication, I think they are doing a fantastic job. I've heard from the conference they've been talking to the public, to politicians, to school children, and I think I'm happy they came to us, the scientists, because most of us don't even know what they are doing. So I'm happy they did it for us, and they should continue, and I'm happy to help. If we can put down an outreach strategic framework that it can be more inclusive, so that we can get even children as young as 6 years to understand. Because from there, they are teachers, and then to the academia, we can get a message out there.
I have seen flyers about, I have seen products with GM. I am particular about what I eat, so I think there's been a lot of misconceptions about GMOs and food that have to be eaten and not. But I think this workshop, being my first, has been very insightful for me. Yes, very insightful. I think the scientists took their time to let us know what it means for a product to be genetically modified. Previously, we assumed that the moment it's GM, I think I ate an orange with no seed. And everybody was like, no, this is bad because we can't recultivate it. But as a scientist, looking at SDGs, how poverty and climate effects are all over the place, then being in this workshop is a very good opportunity to know that we can still propagate our foods and mitigate all these things while we still have enough to solve food and climate issues at hand. Specifically, now I know that when I see a GM food, it is very healthy, it is safe for eating, because the standards and all those regulators involved are in the know of what is being produced by the scientists as well. So everybody out there should accept that these GM foods are very safe for consumption and for planting as well. So I think most confusions are brought about because there's no communication. And if there's always an avenue for people to communicate, for people to speak about things that are being done, it already dispels the mysteries behind it. So communication has been a powerful tool in setting things straight when it comes to diversifying information and letting others know what we do. I think scientists, our major problem is communicating. And if we could get people who can understand us, not in scientific terms, to know what we are doing, then it's going to help the society as a large to understand what we do as well. So Jesus said we should spread the gospel, and knowledge is power. So the little I know, I think I'll share all across, and I'll be an advocate for GM foods and GM activities nationwide.
We started talking about working on GM somewhere in 2011, and then we started with about 3 crops, the cowpea, the newest rice, and then the GM potato. Over the years, the last few years, the newest rice and the GM potato, the work on it has slowed down a little bit. But for the cowpea, we've made progress. We are poised to releasing it to the public, to farmers, in about 2 years' time. So it's been quite good. Pushback has actually not come from farmers. It's come from some NGOs and certain individuals. It will surprise you to know that currently in northern Ghana, where farmers have heard of the GM cowpea, they are calling for it. They can't wait to get it. And it's because the field trials and the testing that we have done with them, they have seen that it's not entirely true to say that it's negative. You know, if you are spending so much money and spraying about 8 times chemicals, remember these are chemicals on crops, and you can significantly reduce that and then also get your yield, cut down the losses by as much as 80%. So honestly, the farmers, they are waiting for the final release. And so the pushback from the public, yes, we anticipated that as far as certain NGOs and certain groups are concerned. It's a global push, so you wouldn't expect that Ghana would be different. And so that one, we expected it. The good thing for Ghana is that we have the National Biosafety Authority that is regulating everything that we are doing. So we are not afraid. We are not too perturbed because we are following the regulations, and we know that what we are doing is good and it will help the country. I think that we have to cure these myths. One way we are curing it is education, public awareness. If people come to understand, if people come to know why we are doing it, they come to understand the science, the very basic science of it, and they realize, they come to understand that, after all, this is simple. GMO or biotechnology is something that we have lived with over the years. Then they would come to appreciate it. The other one is time. Time will tell if these things that the GMO, the biotechnology, manipulated crops are bad or they are evil. And then, let me just say that science, technology has always been like that. I mean, look at the drugs that we take. They all have their risks. Paracetamol, they have their risks. Look at the vehicles that there are histories and stories about vehicles when they first invented them and all those things. So with time, I believe that all those myths will be broken, and then we'll be enjoying the products of GMO. National Biosafety Authority that regulates the research in GMOs, the introduction of GMO and all that. It's an agency of MESTI, so government is involved. The Food and Drugs Authority is an agency, I think, of the Ministry of Finance, so they are all involved. And as long as they have passed, government agencies and ministries have passed laws and airlines and others to regulate, and we have supervising ministers and directors and the regulatory agencies, I would say that, of course, I mean, they are supporting the process. We all know that food security is an issue. If you take the SDGs, in number 2, no hunger, zero hunger. And we are growing, this world is growing. How many are we now? 9 billion. And the projections and the climate change and the conflicts and all the numerous problems that are hanging in the air, we have to find smart ways of producing food enough to feed all of us. They may be pushing, but the point is that you push it and we also look at it. We examine the science. We examine what you are bringing. And we know that these are good things. Of course, some may have business interest and others, but like I said, almost everything, there are business interests. We then have to be wise, be smart, and pass the proper regulatory laws to make sure that people don't take advantage of us. You don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. This is a good thing, and we have to pursue it strategically, carefully, and make sure that we derive benefits from it. I will urge all Ghanaian scientists, first and foremost, to understand the science behind GM, the basic science, and make sure that when they have the opportunity, they can explain it to our people. And I will urge our people to also have an open mind, ask questions, and be ready to receive the answers that are given you. And it's an open system. You can always come and ask questions. The NBA is there. Everything is done in the open, transparent approach so that we can all forge ahead. If you can show that something is not right, I think everybody has the right to do that. And then they have a right to receive answers and so we can make progress.